All right, let's do it. So, I'm disassembling my studio. The time has come. I'm moving out. So I've been renting here for 5 years. It's been a really great place based on the amount of noise I can make, but unfortunately renting for a long period of time is almost a waste of money. So I've decided to buy a house. We'll see how that goes. Long term, I'm wrapped that I'm moving out of this place. Look, this particular studio is nothing flash. It's a spare bedroom in a house. I don't have any soundproofing. It's kind of funny, like how much you can do with just a simple space like this. I've actually just finished shooting my final video in this room, which is this guitar right here. Now, just to let you know, I have 27 videos scheduled before the move. I have to pull the studio down right now. I'm gonna share that with you. So there's a bunch of short videos. There's some stuff that will be going up, no doubt, while I'm setting up the new studio, moving all my crap to the new house and setting it all up over there. But this little studio, I'm quite proud of the way that it looks for something so simple. So for those wondering too, last week, or 2 weeks ago, about a week and a half ago now or something, I actually cut my leg open in the studio. I used to have this mat down and there was a glass shard stuck in there and it just went straight through my shin and I had to get it sewn up. Anyway, when I got rid of that mat, I threw it straight out after I could, I was able to. I thought, yeah, now it actually feels like I'm getting out because all of my videos in this room have had that black mat on the ground and it's been just one of the first things to go. And I was sort of like, the rest of the house is packed up. This room has always just been, it's been kept until stumps. So I have to pack this up tonight. It's crazy. I do have a few days before I move, but the way that it works here, I just want to make sure everything's boxed up and out of the way. So I've just shot my final video, which is this beautiful Kiesel guitar. So that'll be one of the, I don't know where it'll fall in the queue, but there'll be plenty of other videos going up in this room before I get over to the new space. So I'm planning on just basically having a similar studio, but we're gonna try some different things. It's taken me so long to kind of like nail the lighting, the camera, white balance, and the multi-camera setup. And now I've got everything running through external monitors so I can see what's going on. But it's basically one of those times where the studio needs to evolve and change, so I'm going to try something a little bit different. Now, interestingly enough, what I had in my mind is kind of similar to how Robert Baker had his brand new studio. So if you follow his channel, he went from basically hiring out a place to setting it back up, I think, at a house. So I think it just looks great. It's nice and simple. I love all these posters. It adds a touch of color and dimension to it, but I'm also a little bit over it. So we'll see whether or not the posters will stay, whether they'll go, and what I'll come up with moving forward. But I love the fact I'm going to have a dedicated space. I'll be able to do all the stuff I want to do when it comes to wall mounting stuff. I've got tripods all over the place here. I've got cables all over the place here. Usually the studio is pretty tidy, but I've been burning it at both ends. I worked till like midnight last night and the night before, just trying to get as much done as I can here. So it's been 5 years. So firstly, thank you so much for everyone who stuck with me and subscribed, all that kind of stuff. It really means a lot. I've been able to do this now for quite some time and it's always a learning experience. You can never take this sort of stuff for granted and I don't. Yeah, I just wanted to share with you a little bit of a teardown video and you'll get to see just how messy things are. Now, I was actually sent, I've got a tech channel for those who don't know, I was actually sent this really cool little wide angle lens which will appear in the review of this lens on my other channel when I move and finish it up. But I'm gonna just set this up. I'm gonna film the teardown. So yeah, it's a very simple room. You might notice that sometimes I've complained about guitars not working properly. This house has been so damp for so long. I get mold on my cases. I've got damp rid bags in the cupboard and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just done. I'm gonna miss the block. The block's beautiful. We get a lot of birds. We get a lot of nature here, but it's time to go. So let's tear this down. While I do this teardown, I'm just going to share with you some of the thoughts about this particular workspace, what I use and why, and just YouTube stuff in general. So as you can see, I'm just getting everything off the floor to start with. The most important thing is to get the guitars away and safe so you don't drop anything else on them. Now my camera equipment here, I'm using 4 Panasonic S5s or Lumix S5 cameras. They're full frame sensor cameras. I use all prime lenses. I use manual focus, which is what that little Boston toy is that you always see behind me in shots. I use that as my focus point. While I'm using 4 matching cameras, I've used a whole bunch of different stuff over the years, and I still have other cameras for different applications because I'm a big camera nerd. But basically, don't get too worried about it. Just focus more on the lighting. I don't know if you can hear me, but the crazy thing is, I missed a few pedals, and they've been here for a while by the looks of it. I've got an Ampero 2. As you can see, this is just a straight up bedroom. From this front on view, you can kind of get a sense of what the room is. It's basically like any other bedroom at any other place. It's around 3.5 meters by 3 meters, so it's not even that large, and it's all you need to get stuff done. So if you've got a spare room at home and you're thinking about getting into YouTube, you really don't need anything super fancy to get it done. I've printed out all those posters behind me, and I took them down to an office supply shop and got them laminated, and that was it. And then I added just a few little points of personality, like this zombie mask here from the Lucio Fulci classic from 1979. I'm a big horror movie fan. Thus, the posters on the wall are a mix of music, obscure horror movies, and 1980s stuff of all kinds. It's just, a good point of difference from just hanging guitars on the wall. And of course, while I was renting, I wasn't able to do that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's different in other parts of the world, but you can't really modify homes when you rent them. So over here, I have all of my guitar straps and lots of props from the short film we shot a while back. So yeah, it's just funny to see this studio quickly at 20 times the speed. So this is 2,000 times faster than actual real time. This actually took me a long time, but I just got everything organized. One of the things I'm a big fan of, as messy as the floor was from the last few days of just really busting videos out before I left, was just having everything ready to go when I'm at the other end. So I keep most of the packaging for stuff. I know a lot of people just throw that stuff out, but when it comes to important electronics that I use on a daily basis, I want to make sure that they're protected. On this section here, I was talking about this LED bar. These things look so great. You can see a huge difference just in the visual of the room from this shot to about 15 seconds ago. So if you scroll back and you see the shot with the blue light on, pointing towards the roof, they look amazing. So get one of these LED bars. They're very impressive at just enhancing the background of any set or room. It's funny how many times I've been asked about these posters, even after putting up 2 videos explaining this, but I get all of these printed at a local office supply shop. I find them on Google Images. I try to find the best pictures I can find of whatever I'm looking for with the best resolution, and then I just take them down on a USB stick, get them printed, and get them laminated with a matte finish, so there's no gloss with the lights. I glossed them the first time. It was a huge mistake, because all you see is the reflections coming back. So, if you're going to be doing something like this as well, this backdrop is just an easy way to make it work. While I'm not exactly sure what the new studio will end up looking like, in the short term, if I get desperate, I'll just put these back up on the new wall and none will be the wiser. I've had this exact same setup now in 2 separate houses, and it looked almost indistinguishable from each other, minus the carpet or minus a window here or there. So, if I get desperate, I can easily set this back up. I've actually just got to mix down the last project, I forgot. This computer's going to be off for at least a week, and I want to make sure I put all of these audio files onto my main editing computer. Now, these LED panels that I'm pulling down at the front here, they're Pixel P80s, and they're fantastic. I recently moved away from softboxes because they were big, the bulbs kept blowing up, all that kind of stuff, and these have just been amazing. I can turn them on and off with my mobile phone or use just the panels on the back and set them perfectly for the room. They're really great. I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. When it comes to my audio interface selection, I always choose something that anyone could buy from a store. In this case, it's the Focusrite 18IA. It's been great. It's got 4 XLR inputs, plenty of line level inputs as well, and it just covers my needs for this particular studio. This is the amount of moisture captured in under 1 week. 1 week. So yeah, that's why I had a lot of problems with the electronics on my guitars. Thankfully, they're all fixed and they're out of that closet. What I'm doing now is just going through and putting into piles everything so I can easily find it on the other end. So I'm taking all my cameras, putting them in a pile, taking all my camera cables, like HDMI cables, putting them in a separate pile. Same with the power supplies, extension cables, power boards, all that kind of stuff. So when I get to the other side of this move, everything will be in their own unique package and I'll be able to open it nicely. Now, one thing I've learned over the years, and one thing that I did a lot with this particular setup and pack up, is the fact that I ended up putting things in bags before I put them in boxes, and it completely changes the other side. So you can see all of these shopping bags here from back in the day. I just packed them full of stuff and I put everything that I needed in each bag and then put that into the box, and it just really helps simplify, the mess on the other end. Man, I had so much more stuff in this room than I realized. We're at the maybe 2.5 hour mark right now. It doesn't seem like I've done that much, but I'm sorting it properly. I'm throwing things out that I don't need. I'm going through all the drawers. I've got a colorful set of drawers that you see in a lot of my videos. And these were a mess. So I ended up packing things up, throwing things out, and just sorting out everything that I needed. So it was tidy. I'd rather do it now than later. I hate to move than have to do all this sorting and filtering at the other end. You know, looking back at the studio, it's the most efficient it's been for my particular workflow. Having 4 matching Panasonic S5 cameras, all matching lenses, means there's going to be very few inconsistencies between each of the camera angles, and that's what I love. I love being able to walk in, turn the lights on with my phone, turn the cameras on, hit record, and everything looks the same every single time. So hopefully I can up the ante on my next studio.